I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Ronald Reagan said those words were the 9 most terrifying words in the English language. For an even scarier version, try I'm from the Federal Reserve. And there is a new tool in town with massive potential for government surveillance and control at a level we have never seen in history. It's called central bank digital currencies, and it's different from private sector cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin in that they are state sanctioned and operated. Suddenly, cryptocurrency isn't hoax money anymore as long as it's controlled by the government. Well, let's dive into the US Federal Reserve's definition of FedNow and why this could be the first official step towards the government's being able to monitor digital currency transactions completely, use data about how people spend their money to develop social credit scores, cancel the funds of people targeted by the state, and exert complete control over society. Welcome back to Renegade News. I'm your host, Glenn Kowalski. Every week on this channel, we discuss how entrepreneurs and other freedom lovers just like you can build cancel culture-proof businesses, create a bigger impact in their business and in the world, and completely break free from the system. Last month, the Federal Reserve made an important announcement that went unnoticed by many. FedNow, the Federal Reserve's real-time payment system, is set to debut this July. In short, FedNow will allow instant payments for businesses and consumers with immediate access to their funds. Pretty convenient, right? The Federal Reserve's announcement came only days after the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, and the bank runs over that last section of bank runs. Surprisingly, Silver Bank had Silvergate Exchange Network and Signature had Signet, 2 private networks for companies to transfer value between each other using digital assets, which threaten projects like a digital dollar or FedNow. More coincidence? Well, let's just see. So what exactly is FedNow? Well, the official narrative is that the FedNow is the Federal Reserve's digital payment system, simplifying payment services for banks of all sizes by offering around-the-clock, daily instant payment services. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The system allows for bill payments, money transfers, and other consumer activities, with most transactions being settled within just 60 seconds and without any interruption. Which sounds just awesome, right? I mean, really. But FedNow is operated by the Fed, and it's not operated by private banks. So here's kind of the theory of FedNow. So FedNow could attract low-income people as overdraft fees that happen when somebody doesn't have enough money in their account to cover a transaction. When they can be as high as $35 or $40, these can really hurt low-income people who are very often overdrawn in their accounts. Well, according to the FDIC, Americans paid $10.7 billion in these overdraft fees in 2021, with lower income households alone paying $6.7 billion. Like I said, it only makes sense. They're lower income, they're more likely to not have enough funds in their accounts, and then they get nailed with these great big fines. In addition, for these lower income brackets, FedNow can be used by bankless people as it doesn't require a bank account or a credit card. Well, in light of the recent banking crisis, with banks such as Silicon Valley Bank collapsing, the timing of the FedNow launch is really crucial. FedNow is expecting to change the banking sector by offering instant digital payments to consumers, making it a material change in how consumers use electronic money. And it's possible that every bank and credit union will offer this service, with most coming on board over the next year. So is FedNow, is this new network that they put together a new idea? Well, currently they have an RTP network, which can process real-time payments in the United States. And in terms of fees, both systems are going to be the same at about 4.5 cents per originated transaction. However, the main difference between the systems lies in the way they're actually governed. So whereas the RTP is operated by a consortium of large banks, FedNow is going to be operated by one, the Federal Reserve Bank. And the Fed says, oh, it's not a CBDC, a central bank digital coin. But surprise, surprise, according to the Fed's website, it has made no decision on issuing a central bank digital currency and would only proceed with the issuance of a CBDC with an authorizing law. Testifying before the House Financial Services Committee in March of 2023, Chair Powell said that a central bank digital currency is something we would certainly need to have congressional approval on. Well, surprise again, on April 18th, the U.S. House Committee published a draft bill that would call for the exploration of CBDCs. In our next video, we're going to talk about exploring this bill directly and its impact, so make sure you subscribe to get that. So this whole idea of CBDCs, central bank digital coins, are being coined as an experiment. And Fed Chair Jerome Powell said back in March of 2023 that a CBDC is going to be years in the evaluation. And I think we can get this into the hands of the public very quickly. And I think we'll have real-time payments in this country very, very soon. And so that's a good thing. He underscored the fact that they are experimenting a CBDC in parallel. What we're doing is experimenting in kind of an early stage experimentation. How would this work? What's the best technology? What's the most efficient? We're at a really early stage right now. Well, FedNow is seen as the potential solution for tackling the same issues that stablecoins and central bank digital currencies are trying to solve, which is this fast, secure, and innovative payment type. However, unlike these alternatives, it does not use blockchain technology at all. FedNow will not be a standalone digital currency. Instead, it will work with existing bank accounts and payment systems. This means that the FedNow payments will still be denominated in dollars, in US dollars, and they will still be subject to the same regulation and legal frameworks as other forms of money. By contrast, a true CBDC, central bank digital coin, would be a new form of digital currency that was issued and then backed by the central bank. Nevertheless, in the FedNow SM service provider showcase, multiple blockchain and cryptocurrencies are listed, which gives us a hint that the project is open to interoperate with crypto and blockchain-based projects. So as much as they say this is down the road or it's not happening or we're just experimenting, there are some danger signs that this could be a parlay into the world of CBDCs, which, as we've talked about in other videos, are terrifying. So here's some of the big danger signs that this is a first step. Well, first of all, FedNow, their first step has been that they banned Bitcoin. And Robert Kennedy Jr., a presidential candidate right now, believes that the Federal Reserve's digital payment system, FedNow, is the government's first step to banning Bitcoin completely. According to Kennedy, people should not be blinded by claims that FedNow would initially be restricted to interbank transactions. He pointed out that this could be the first step in banning and seizing Bitcoin, just like the Treasury did with gold 90 years ago, back in 1933. Several crypto stakeholders have pointed out that this move could be the government's way of competing against the cryptocurrency industry. Meanwhile, the US government's recent crackdown on the crypto industry is being described as Operation Choke Point 2.0. Law firm Cooper & Kirk said that the backroom war on crypto was unlawful, unconstitutional, and arbitrary. And we completely agree with that, but it's obvious that the attacks have been stepping up. And as we've talked about so many times, CBDCs could lead to financial slavery and political tyranny and are almost a certain path to get there. Well, according to Kennedy Jr. and according to me and everybody I know in this who works in this industry, CBDCs grease the slippery slope to financial slavery and political tyranny. And this couldn't be more obvious if you've ever looked into how these things work, looked into the social credit scores of China, looked into what they're planning on doing in places like Canada. Clearly, CBDCs are the path to total financial tyranny. Kennedy noted that the government could use this digital currency to surveil all of our private financial affairs. Kennedy Jr. said, the central bank will have the power to enforce dollar limits on our transaction, restricting where you can send money, where you can spend it, and when money expires. He explained that the digital currency could give the government power to freeze citizens' assets or even limit their spending when they fail to comply with arbitrary dictates. So he goes on to say, watch as the government, which would never let a good crisis go to waste, used COVID-19 and the banking crisis to usher in a new wave of CBDCs as a safe haven from the germ-laden paper of paper currency and as protection against bank runs. Like everything else the government does, never let a good crisis go to waste. They'll use a crisis as an excuse every time. But look, the battle against the Federal Reserve's central bank digital coins and other control mechanisms is really just beginning. The technology is just catching up to the desire that they've had for a long time. And the solution is cryptocurrencies and businesses that are willing to step outside the norm and operate in parallel economies so that they aren't forced into these centralized webs of controls. That's why it's our mission at Renegade News to stay on top of this developing surveillance network and web that they're putting together. So subscribe right now for the latest cryptocurrency, Web 3.0, and privacy news and tactics. And check out the video you see on the screen right now for our latest upload about learning to protect your life and business from the parasites that are looking to control every aspect of that life. I'm Glenn Kowalski from Renegade News, and I'll see you over there.